Ooh, Halloween is coming close, and Detective Marlin has his hands full with all kinds of creepy creatures and mysterious cases. Hopefully, you'll help him crack these frightening riddles.
Yeah.
A scared store owner called Detective Marlin. He said there was a vampire in his store. When the detective arrived, he didn't see the store owner, but there were 3 other people inside. Look at them attentively and help the detective figure out which one is a vampire. Well, the first one's eyes are red, but it looks as if he didn't sleep well at night. The second one is freezing. All parts of his body are covered with some pieces of clothing. But look at the third one. He's drinking something red from a glass using a straw. He must be the vampire the detective is looking for. Now, where is that store owner? Look at this family very attentively. Detective Marlin was invited to their house to figure out in the body of which family member a ghost is hiding. Soon he found the answer. How about you? Admittedly, the woman does look scared, but it has nothing to do with the ghost. She just choked on some food. The man is wearing dark glasses, even though he's indoors, but he's blind. Do you see that white cane the blind use next to him? That's why he's got glasses. The granny is the one you need. There's a trace of ectoplasm that goes through the whole room toward her. One day, a very pale woman covering a bite on her neck with her hand approached Detective Marlin. She said that when she had been returning home the evening before, someone had attacked her and turned her into a vampire. She wanted to find the culprit. The detective found 3 suspects. Look at them and find the one that has turned the woman into a vampire. This man is quite old and has no teeth, so he can't be a vampire. This woman has tan marks, but vampires can't sunbathe. So the man wearing a hat and gloves must have turned her into a vampire. Now, Detective Marlin is walking through a park when he notices 3 men sitting on a bench. He immediately realizes that one of them is a ghost. Can you guess which one? The first man has a pale complexion. The second one is just wearing loose, oversized clothes. The ghost is the man whose leg is going all the way through the bench. Two husbands suspect their wives were werewolves. They invited Detective Marlin to find out the truth. The detective examined the women's bedrooms and realized that only one of them was a monster. Which one? This bedroom has a scary atmosphere, all dark with posters of rock bands on the walls. The second one is pink and very feminine. But have you noticed scratch marks on the floor in the bed? The woman who lives here is a werewolf. Detective Marlin's next case is no less tricky. A priceless mirror, 6 feet tall, with a beautiful silver frame, was stolen from a legendary haunted house. The main 3 suspects are the Halloween monsters last seen in the house, a witch, a vampire, and a werewolf. Can you help the detective figure out the culprit? It was the witch. Silver is known to harm werewolves. The werewolf wouldn't have touched it. Vampires can't see their reflections, so the vampire wouldn't have any need for the mirror. The only one who might need this mirror is the witch. Detective Marlin is exhausted. He's been working so hard that he decides to treat himself to a cup of coffee. When he enters the nearest coffee shop, he sees two guys. They wear similar clothes, hold steaming coffee cups, and in general seem to be perfectly fine. But the detective immediately understands that one of them is a werewolf in disguise. Which one? Look at the guy on the right. There are strange marks on the rim of his cup. Are they left by his fangs? Also, his pupils are a bit elongated. And there is a paw print design on the coffee shop paper bag he's holding. Wait, is it a special establishment for werewolves? Detective Marlin suspects that one of his old friends is immortal. One day, he's invited to a small party one of the men hosts. He's standing in the corner, looking at his three friends sitting by the fireplace. And suddenly, it dawns on him. Have you figured out which man is immortal too? The man on the left looks very old-fashioned. The one in the middle is reading a book in Latin. And only the man on the right seems to be very young. But look at that picture on the fireplace. It must have been taken on the day when the Eiffel Tower was opened. But the man is there too, and he hasn't aged a day since then. Last night, on a full moon, several people disappeared in the city. Detective Marlin questioned locals and found out that they believe the culprit was a werewolf. Soon the detective had three suspects, Jack, Levi, and Luke, but all of them had alibis. Jack said he had been walking with his girlfriend near the river. Levi had been choosing a silver ring for himself in the mall. And Luke, who worked as a museum guard, had a night shift at work. So, which guy is guilty? Jack was walking under the light of a full moon and didn't turn into a werewolf. Levi wasn't afraid to put on silver rings, even though this metal harms werewolves. It means that the werewolf and potential culprit is most likely Luke. Once, Detective Marlin found out about a strange case. A man who was visiting the city heard about a cursed house. A vampire and a beauty were said to live there. And since the rumor had it that the beauty was held in the house against her will, the traveler decided to help the girl. But when he was talking to her, she suddenly shouted, "The vampire is returning! We have to hide in the basement and lock the door!" And so they did. But in the morning, the man still found himself turned into a vampire. How was it possible?
Yeah.
It didn't take the detective long to realize that the beauty herself was the vampire. Detective Marlin's wife was decorating their house for Halloween. She sent her husband a message asking him to buy something with a leg, an arm, and a head, but without flesh or eyeballs. At first the man was confused, but soon he realized what his wife wanted. Have you figured it out too? Mrs. Marlin needed a skeleton. The next day, the detective got a new message from his wife. This time, he needed to get something wrapped, but not a gift. It had to be something kept neatly in a chamber, which archaeologists considered a great treasure. What did Detective Marlin have to bring home? Mrs. Marlin wanted to use a mummy to decorate the house. A zombie, a mummy, and a ghost bought a house. It has lots of different rooms, but there's one room you will never find there. What is this room? It's the living room. Look at these two ladies. Which one seems suspicious? It's the woman on the right. Her reflection is all wrong. She's not human. Look at these people dancing at a costume party attentively. You need to figure out who is a werewolf. It's that guy in the corner. He's wearing a human mask, but his thick hair is peeking from underneath the mask. Some people believe in me and others don't. At night, I roam around, and sometimes I float. If you hear a troubled noise coming from the ground, go run and hide from my creepy sound. What am I? I'm a ghost. Some people fear me. The more of me you have, the less you see. What am I? I'm darkness. I'm thought to bring bad luck. I blend in the night, and I'm known to mingle with witches. What am I? I'm a black cat. Meow. Leslie was driving at night to visit her parents, but unfortunately, her car broke down in the middle of nowhere. She decided to walk around to find some help and came across an eerie-looking house. As she started walking through the garden to reach the door, she suddenly got really scared and ran back to her car. Can you spot the three things that made her terrified? Look at the statue at the center of the fountain. Its eyes are moving left and right. Secondly, do you see the skeleton hands that are trying to crawl out of the ground? Creepy. And on top of everything, the black cat here has a snake tail instead of a regular one. Mrs. Blair thought, what better way to scare her students than with a pop quiz on Halloween? But she decided to pay extra attention during the exam because everybody would be coming to school dressed in costumes, and that would make it easier for them to cheat. And she was right, because one of them was indeed trying to cheat. Can you tell who? Look, this girl here is hiding a piece of paper with the answers under her witch's hat. On Halloween night, Amanda was playing Truth or Dare with her friends. When it was her turn, they challenged her to enter the old mansion, which not a single soul in town dared to enter before. She accepted the challenge and went inside. But suddenly, the door behind her closed on its own and got locked. Then a skeleton butler greeted her and said, "You're not welcome here, but you can leave if you know my riddle. In the darkest night, I come to life. My eerie gaze causes no strife. What am I that lights the way when monsters and goblins come out to play?" Can you help Amanda? The correct answer is a jack-o'-lantern. Amy was invited to a Halloween party in her neighborhood. When she arrived at the house, she noticed three people in costumes who were chilling in the hot pool. But one of them was not a real human being. Can you tell who? Well, the first girl in the witch's costume and the second guy with fangs look scary, but they're only wearing makeup. But the girl who is in a mermaid costume is a real mermaid, because look at her neck. She has gills. It was Aurora's 21st birthday, and her witch aunts were finally going to accept her to their coven. However, there was one spell that she needed to complete as her final test, and it required a magical cauldron. The catch is one could only use this cauldron if they solved the riddle that was engraved on it, which said, "I'm a season of colors with leaves that fall. It's when cozy sweaters come out to warm you all. What am I, aspiring magician? Do you know? Solve this riddle and your magical powers will grow." Can you help Aurora find the correct answer? The answer you're looking for is the season of autumn. Take a look at these two women who are preparing the dinner tables for their Halloween party, but one of them has nefarious intentions. Can you tell who is the dangerous one? If you take a closer look, you'll see that the lady on the left is more spooky than scary. The green cream on the brownies may look poisonous, but it's just food coloring. And those fingers on the tray are only finger-shaped cookies. So she is simply preparing for the holiday. But the lady on the right didn't even bother to wear a costume, even though she's throwing a Halloween dinner party. And why would anyone sharpen their knives before her guests arrive? That's suspicious. So she must be the dangerous one. The young witch, Elaine, who lived in a deep enchanted forest, was invited to her coven's Halloween gathering. Unfortunately, her broom was broken, and the only other way she could get to her destination was through drinking the teleportation potion. However, she had never cast it before, and the three main ingredients for it were hidden with a riddle in her spell book. The first one was, "In the shadows I quietly grow, not a plant nor an animal you know. After rain I might start to bloom, often found in a forest gloom." Can you tell what the first ingredient is? It's a mushroom. The riddle for the second ingredient went, "I'm as light as air, soft to the touch. Upon a bird's back, I don't weigh much. I help a creature soar high and free, yet I fall to the ground for all to see. What am I?" Do you know the answer? It's a feather. And the riddle for the third ingredient was this: "In darkness I weave my trap so discreet. With patience I wait for a tasty treat. Silent and stealthy in corners I bide. With multiple eyes my world I divide." Can you help Elaine find out what that is? The answer is a spider. But now she needed to wander deeper into the woods to find those ingredients. Take a look around. Can you help her spot them? There's the mushroom under these flowers. The bird's feather is here, hidden behind the flowers. And the spider is climbing up this tree. One famous club in the city was organizing a Halloween party, and Jenny and her friends were going to go. Inside, there were two different counters from where they could get their drinks. But one of these bartenders is dangerous. Can you tell which one? This bartender is dressed as a vampire for Halloween, and he is simply putting on a fire show. On the other hand, the bartender who is polishing the glasses has a bottle of poison here among the bottles, so the girl should avoid him at all costs. James was attending a Halloween dinner party. He wanted to have something to eat, so he headed to the open buffet. Examine these 3 snack options closely. One of them will hurt his stomach. Can you tell which one that is? The first cupcakes might look like they're dripped in blood, but it's just cherry-flavored glaze. And these worms on the pudding cups are just worm gummies. But look at this candy apple. It's glowing like fluorescence. That looks toxic. Monsters from all around the world were going to meet at their annual Halloween celebration. But the word was out that a human heard about it and was planning to crash their party. So they placed a monster security at the entrance of the venue. The security was suspicious of these 3 creatures. Can you help him figure out which one of them is actually a human? Take a peek at the moon. It's not full. Then how come this werewolf is here? He shouldn't have turned into one, so he must be a human wearing a costume. Amy and her friends went to the Halloween parade that was visiting their town. There was a scary maze, and Amy decided to try it herself. However, after a while, she got lost and started to panic. But she didn't notice that there were hints around the maze that would guide her to the exit. Can you spot them? Look at these bricks on the maze walls here. They're in the shape of arrows. So she can just follow them and leave. Aaron got dressed as a pirate for Halloween. On his way to his friends, he saw a glowing box on the side of the road. He got curious and went to check it out. He discovered that it was a treasure box. He tried to open it, but it was locked, and there was a riddle on it. I'm colorful and chatty, perched up high, with feathers so vibrant I catch your eye. I can mimic your words both near and far, found in the jungle or as a pet. Can you tell what am I? It's a parrot. Here we go. You just arrived home from a long day of work and tuned into the Riddle show on your TV. Take a look at this scene. Who do you think has the best chance at survival? The 2 guys look pretty stuck in there, but the woman on the right might have a chance. The rope looks a bit loose around her body. She could try to shake it off and then use her free hands to untie her ankles. Which one of these definitely isn't human? It's the guy on the left. If you look closely, you'll see that the skin around his eyes is green. Take a look at these 3 guys. Which one of them is going on a date tonight? It must be the guy in the middle. He's holding a chocolate box in the shape of a heart. It's wrapped with a bow and everything. Alice, Beth, Cece, and Diana are standing in line to get a new video game. Alice is standing between Beth and Cece. Cece is in front of two people, and Diana is standing in front of her. Can you say the exact order in which the girls are standing? Let's see, there are 4 of them. If Cece is standing in front of two people and Diana is in front of her, then Diana is the first in line. Cece is the second one. Then Alice is standing between Beth and Cece. So the third person is Alice and the last one is Beth. There are 10 students in the class. 6 of them learn French. Oui, oui. 7 of the students in the class learn Spanish. Olé! If every student learns at least one foreign language, how many students learn both French and Spanish? This is pretty simple math. 6 plus 7 equals 13. If there are only 10 students in the class, that means that 3 students are learning both French and Spanish. A police officer was following a robber around the city. Suddenly, the criminal rushed toward a hospital and disappeared. When the police officer entered the building, he saw 3 people. One of them must be the robber, who had dressed up pretending to be a doctor. Can you tell who the criminal is? It's the girl on the left. Look at her shoes. They're dirty. She probably didn't have time to clean or change them. Theo was getting ready for a job interview when the lights in his apartment went off. He was in a rush and didn't have time to wait for the lights to come back on. He was almost ready. He only needed to put on his socks and boots. Theo had socks of 3 different colors: black, white, and gray. He didn't care what color his socks would be, but he needed 2 socks of the same color. How many socks should Theo take to make sure there would be at least one matching pair? He just needs 4 socks. Even if the first 3 socks are different colors, the 4th sock will probably be either black, white, or gray, matching one of the others. Devin takes showers every day, but on even days of the month, he takes a long bath. During 1 year's time, how many baths does he take? Well, let's see. Except for February, all months have 30 or 31 days. In each month, there are usually 15 even days. For starters, we should multiply 15 by 11, which gives us 165 days. If we count February as having 14 even days, then the total number of baths Devin takes in a year is 179. This is Allison, and one of these 3 men is her boyfriend. Can you tell who? It's the guy on the left. Look, they have matching tattoos. Bella landed in New York with a very ambitious career goal. But first thing she needed to do after arriving in the city was to find her apartment. There were many options to get from the airport to her apartment, but Bella decided to save money and go by bus. She had to purchase a ticket for $10, but a handsome guy popped out of nowhere and offered her a better deal. He said his plans had changed and he didn't need his bus ticket anymore. He offered to sell it to her for $6. Bella agreed and gave him the money, but it turned out to be a big mistake. Why? Take a look at the current date on the screen of the vending machine. And now check the date on the ticket. The ticket the man sold Bella expired over a month ago. Finally, Bella managed to arrive in Manhattan and find her apartment. She was sharing a house with 3 other women. Bella introduced herself to them and went to settle in her room. She left her belongings on her bed and went to take a shower. When she stepped out of the shower, Bella noticed that her laptop was missing.
Oh no!
She got furious and decided to interrogate all of her new roommates. Sarah said she had gone out to get a cup of coffee. She even told Bella to ask the doorman of their building since he had seen her leave. Kelly said that she had taken an afternoon nap with her headphones on. She said she hadn't heard or seen anything strange going on inside the apartment. Shannon said that she had gone to the building's rooftop to take some pictures of the city, since she was a professional photographer. Can you tell who's lying here? It's Shannon.
Uh-oh.
If you notice the sign on the lobby, the building strictly prohibits people from accessing the rooftop. Henry was backpacking through Italy by himself. One evening, around 8 p.m., he got very hungry and decided to look for a cozy restaurant to have some dinner. He walked into a traditional restaurant, only to find a customer and a waiter arguing over something. The customer was saying that he had ordered tomato soup, while the waiter was saying that he had only ordered a hot chocolate. Henry saw something that immediately showed him who was lying. Can you find out too? The customer is lying. Behind him, there's a huge sign that says the restaurant only serves soup from 1 to 4 p.m. Since it was 8 p.m. in the evening, the waiter would have never accepted the customer's order in the first place. These are Julia and Maria. They are both very attractive young women who have no trouble finding boyfriends. Today is Valentine's Day, and they're both going out with their loved ones. One of them is currently dating 3 people, though, so she's probably going to run from date to date. Just by looking at this image, can you tell which one it is? It's Maria, the one on the left. If you look at her workstation, she's got 3 presents lined up, one for each person she's currently seeing. Hey, who am I to judge? Dave, an archaeologist, traveled to Egypt on a very special mission. He spent days excavating ruins hidden under miles of sand, and the only thing he found was a coin marked 10 BCE. When he showed it to his colleagues, they told him the coin was a fake. Why? Well, because the designation BCE didn't appear until the beginning of our era. Take a look at this image. Can you figure out which doctor is fake? It's the guy on the left. He's got headphones wrapped around his neck. Something's not right there. Harry and Terry's girlfriends went away on a business trip for the weekend. During the whole time, the couples were texting and sending each other pictures. On Sunday morning, both girlfriends asked their boyfriends to send a selfie of where they were. Harry sent a selfie smiling inside the kitchen. Terry sent a selfie of himself in the bathroom. One of the girls knew immediately that their boyfriend was cheating. Who was the cheater, and how did the girlfriend know? It was Harry. Look at the lipstick mark on the glass on the top of the kitchen counter. Uh-oh.
This is Greg. He's thinking of a 5-digit number. Its first and last digits are the same. Their summation is an even number. And their multiplication is an odd number which is equal to the 4th digit in Greg's imaginary number. If we subtract 5 from it, we'll get the 2nd digit. And if we divide this 2nd digit into half, we'll get the 3rd digit. What number is Greg thinking of? Ready to find out the answer? 34,293. Greg is a reporter for a travel magazine. Today, he enjoys his day off at a beach party. Suddenly, a famous travel blogger, Sergio, shows up at the dance floor. Greg grabs his phone and takes just one picture of Sergio before his battery runs out of power. The next day, he shows this photo at work and receives a promotion. Can you guess why? Take a look at Sergio's feet. It's a full moon and he's turning into a werewolf. That's why this picture is so exclusive. In the evening, Greg returns from work and goes to the bathroom to brush his teeth. Can you spot what's wrong in this picture? In reality, Greg is holding a tube of toothpaste in his left hand. But in the mirror reflection, he's got nothing in his hand. There is a tree growing in Greg's backyard. It doubles in height each year until it reaches its maximum height within 10 years. How many years did it take for a tree to reach half of its maximum height? Since we know that the height of the tree doubles every year, the correct answer is 9 years. Greg is having a family dinner. Meet his sisters, Bella and Stella. They were born to the same mother on the same day, at the same time, and in the same month and year. But yet, they're not twins. How come? Bella and Stella are two of a set of triplets. The next day, Greg returns to work and makes a report about two travel bloggers, Jake and Mike. They're hiking in the woods separately. Can you guess who has more chances to survive this night by just looking at these pictures? Can you see a cobra hiding in Mike's tent? Mosquito bites are usually not life-threatening, unlike snake venom. Therefore, Jake has more chances to survive. Greg has lost his phone in the office. He's been searching for his missing gadget for several hours. Suddenly, Greg gets an anonymous email saying the following. Can you guess what's written here? It's just written in reverse order. If you read it from right to left, the message turns into, "Your phone is hidden in the lobby of this building. Bring $300 and I will tell you where exactly." Greg goes to the lobby and spots something very odd about this place. Can you see it too? Look at the TV. They show different programs in reality and in the mirror. Greg is meeting his friend Kyle in their favorite restaurant, but unfortunately, they're both broke. So they only order free water and one chicken sandwich to share. Greg and Kyle have a great time together and take some pictures. But an hour later, Kyle gets very sick and faints. Doctors find out that he was poisoned. Let's take a look at the pictures that the guys took at the restaurant. Can you spot where the poison was? Kyle put pepper in his half of the sandwich, and Mike didn't, so the poison was in the pepper pot. Greg decides to take a walk home through a forest, and eventually he gets lost. There are 3 possible routes to the final destination. The first path leads through a village inhabited by vampires. The second path is full of toxic mold that can make any human lose their mind. And the third path leads through an enchanted forest that turns all human beings into trees. Which way should Greg choose? The first option is the safest. It's a sunny day and the vampires are probably sleeping. On the way, Greg meets a goblin. The creature offers him a deal.
If you crack my riddle, I'll let you go, but if not, I'll wake all the vampires up and you'll never leave this forest.
Greg agrees. Here's the riddle.
How can you drop a raw egg from a height onto a concrete floor without cracking it?
Ready to hear the correct answer? Concrete floors are very hard to crack. The next day, Greg is preparing an article about a safari park. He has these two options to illustrate his work. Can you spot 5 differences between them? Here they are. And now Greg's task is to find a model for their advertising campaign. He looks through pictures of these 4 models. Which lady is different from the others? This one, because she has shorter hair. Greg goes to the local food court and purchases some chicken nuggets for lunch. He puts his lunchbox on a table and leaves for a minute to wash his hands and get a fork. Then, Greg comes back and finds out that his lunch is missing. Greg interrogates 3 people nearby. Megan says,
I didn't even look at your food. It wouldn't fit me anyway. I'm on a vegan diet.
I was taking pictures of my croissant for social media. You can see it for yourself if you don't believe me. And Peter says,
Sir, I don't steal food. It's against my principles.
After hearing what they had to say, Greg knows for sure who's the thief. What about you? Megan said that Greg's food wasn't vegan, but how does she know that if she hasn't even looked at it? Busted! Greg wants to bring a sweet treat to his coworkers. He has 2 jars of chocolates labeled as V and C. If he moves one chocolate from the V jar to the C, the number of chocolates in the V jar will become twice the number of chocolates in the C jar. But if he moves one chocolate from jar C to V, the number of chocolates in both the jars will become equal. Can you figure out the number of chocolates in each jar respectively? The V jar has 5 chocolates, and jar C has 7. Greg returns to the office and discovers that someone broke his chair. He interrogates 3 coworkers. Will says, I was at a business meeting for the last 3 hours. I've just returned to my workplace and I didn't notice your chair. Fiona says, I took Peter's chair today because someone took mine, but I didn't approach your desk. And Peter says,
I spent the whole day at my workplace, but I didn't look around because I had very important work to do.
Who's lying? Peter is sitting on a chair with an inscription of his name. Therefore, Fiona's story is fake. Greg goes to an opening of a new fancy hotel. In the buffet area, he meets these 3 people. Each claims to be a billionaire, but 2 of them are lying. Can you spot the real billionaire? The first lady sneaked a gold fork from the table and hid it in her hair. If she's really rich, she doesn't need to steal cutlery. And the second guy is wearing shoes that are too small for him, so he probably borrowed them from someone else's feet. Therefore, only the third lady is a billionaire. Greg is planning to spend a night in the hotel. Only 3 rooms are available at the moment. A room on the 15th floor with a mind-blowing view, a fancy penthouse with a huge jacuzzi, and a standard double room on the 4th floor. Can you help Greg choose the best option? The first option doesn't exist because the hotel is only 10 stories. And there are cracks inside this jacuzzi. It's not safe to take a bath in this room. So Greg should pick the third room.